welcome to another episode of Drag Illustrated's The Racing Business with me, Jason Dukes. Thanks for being here for another week of inspiration, another week of education, another week of just being inspired and motivated. This week's guest, we have Flyin Ryan Oehler, driver of the El Bandido Tequila Buell in NHRA Pro Stock motorcycle class. Also proprietor and owner of Tampa Bay Race Rentals, which is a cool program that he'll tell us about, and also proprietor and owner of AirTec Heating and Cooling. During a time of the year right now when heating specifically is something that a lot of people are looking for. So we super appreciate Ryan being on the program here, especially right between two NHRA races also. So want to bring on this week's guest, Flyin Ryan Oehler. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, what's going on?
Good.
Appreciate you guys having me on the show.
We appreciate you being on the show. Again, like I said, the purpose of this show is to inspire, educate, and motivate people here in the racing business world. So what we'll do here is we'll start out where we are today, like where you are in racing today. And note, this airs on Monday, so it'll be the Monday after the next race. But so we're actually recording in between races here. But can you tell us about the where you are specifically with racing, and then where you are with the businesses?
Sure. I've been involved in business now since directly I got out of college. I got out of college in 2008 and had been working in the heating and cooling business and starting to pursue my hopes of a professional drag racing career at the same time. Started building my first pro bike in 2007. That was for the all Harley racing sanctions. So we picked a Pro Mod Harley. It's like the little brother to a pro stock bike. So our pro stock bikes are 70-inch wheelbase. They weigh 640 pounds ish, depending upon the class or the bike that you're riding. They have a 160 cubic inch motor that makes roughly 400 horsepower. My Pro Mod Harley was a 70-inch wheelbase, 113 cubic inch motor that made about 300 horsepower. And then the biggest difference is it had a 7-inch tire versus the pro stock bikes having a 10-inch tire. So, but the power to traction ratio was all super similar, and it gave me the ability to get out there into a pro class and sink my teeth in and utilize my dad's skills. My dad, prior to heating and cooling, had owned a high performance racing business pretty much his whole life. We were first people to do the billet top fuel Harley heads, first ever to be in the 8-second range with the Evo Harleys, and a lot of really cool things back in the 80s. And we just had a hard time making money at that business. And it's one of those businesses in racing, if you want to give somebody top quality, the highest performance stuff available, it requires so much time and effort that it's really hard to bill somebody out every minute that you were invested into their project to give them a championship product. So, and especially someone who's 100% focused on quality and not making money, it just was a very difficult thing at that time in our life to make things work. But hey, we were very fortunate to get into the heating and cooling business. It's what allowed me to actually get where I am today. Without it, there's no chance that I would have had the opportunities to pursue NHRA Pro Stock, let alone just the Pro Mod series that I went into. But it's very unique. Yes, we run a heating and cooling business daily. And the problem with heating and cooling is it's 365, 24/7. So now you're in a business that never quits. As well as I have a whole list of other businesses that somehow I've decided to get into to help propel our racing program. And it's definitely interesting.
Tell us about where the racing program is right now.
So right now we've been racing NHRA Pro Stock since 2017. You get into Pro Stock motorcycle and NHRA and you go, oh, I'm going to get sponsors. I've made it to the high level. I'm here. No, I mean, it was tough, to make that happen. And it started slow. You have people that have faith in you and your program that want to help. You have a lot of companies. High Performance Lubricants was like one of the first. They got behind me right away. And when I got involved, I basically, George Bryce kind of adopted me in a way and gave me the opportunity to take on his program. And with that, some people took notice, like Dave at High Performance, and got with us to to get behind us with their product. There's one. NGK got behind me with their products. That was amazing. Worldwide Bearings got behind me. All these started to snowball to where I currently have somewhere around like 35 sponsors. And, if you look at my bike, there's a lot of stickers on it, and you'll have someone take you aside. And I think Eddie Croway took me aside one day, and this was before I landed El Bandido, and said, Ryan, you've got to get rid of all those. Like, you've got to get, you need one big sponsor. And I said, man, I wouldn't be here without those people, and I said, at the time, my bike was Tampa Bay Race Rentals. It was red. I didn't have a big main sponsor. So I said, let's promote our own business, and let's go after that opportunity. And at about the same time, and we had the bike painted for Gainesville, and by Denver, we had completely rebranded the whole team. Everything went from red to teal, and the transformation was made, and El Bandido Yankee Tequila, and now El Bandido Yankee Racing is our primary sponsor and focus. And on top of that, we also basically became employees of the company, if you will. So, but the racing program is moving strong. We have had initial years of success. We won in 2020. We won in 2021. We've been top 7, 8, always been in the top 10. And then we kind of went through a time where we were struggling with reliability. So, someone asked me, how many runs do you get out of one of these pro stock motorcycles? And I said, somewhere at the moment between half and 4. And that's not a good number, So, we won Vegas and went to the next race, and I blew up right about the finish line and had a really, bad blow up. And with the pro stock bikes, it doesn't give you the same show that a top fuel car blowing up. When our bikes blow up, we usually lose the connecting rods, and they go through the case. Well, when that happens, the crank continues to keep rotating. So you're 10,000 plus RPM with just the crankshaft spinning. Well, the handlebars swell up to be bigger than a baseball bat. It feels like you've just licked your fingers and stuck them in an outlet, and you can't get out from shocking yourself. It's so intense that you have no ability to control the bike. You're just kind of hanging on for dear life. So that happened. I drove off the end of the track, into the sand, and then we had done that probably like 6 times just in a short period of time recently at that time. And I said, we need to figure out something here for reliability, because this is getting a little sketchy. Well, then we opened up a real bad can of worms, and it took us down a rabbit hole of lack of performance. I mean, the reliability started to get there, but then all of a sudden the performance started to go in the toilet. So now we reshifted our engine program. The Buells have what you would call a Gen 1, which is the first program that came in from S&S. That was a knife and fork setup with roller bearings. And then now we go to the Gen 2 setup, like Matt Smith's been running for several years and other teams. That is a conventional plain bearing, side-by-side rod, very similar to a car configuration. So that's where we headed. That got us some reliability. And now, we're able to work on the performance more comfortably, and we're starting to head back in the right direction.
Gotcha. Well, tell us about the heating and cooling business. Also, and where are you located? Because I know this is a super busy time of the year for you, and we appreciate the time that you're putting in here to give us the advice that you are. But tell us a little bit about the heating and cooling business and the growth of that.
Sure. So I went to college into construction management here in Bloomington, Illinois. Went to Illinois State University. Whole time I had worked in the heating and cooling business. My dad had got in, went directly. We had a neighbor here. Here's our high performance racing business, and right next door is a heating and cooling business. So at that same time, we were just about going broke, and the guy hired my dad to basically take over the operations for his heating and cooling. And I immediately went to work with them at 15 years old. So then going through college, of course, I'm working in heating and cooling, driving my service truck to class, and then bam, getting right out of class and running a service call a block away, on college campus. And the day I graduated, we reformed our business, and me and my dad became partners, and basically went from 20 employees back to 2 and back up to 20 employees over a span of a couple of years. And so our heating and cooling business is primary focus is apartment management services. So we take care of all the apartment management companies in town. So we take care of about 70% of Illinois State University's campus housing. We take care of strip malls and hotels, and residential we do, but that's our primary bread and butter, is that we work for these large scale commercial management companies, and with that, it's about like the commandos of heating and cooling. Like you call, we will be there. So when it's really hot or really cold, the phone rings off the hook, and you can't say, oh, let me schedule this in. Let me get you on the schedule for 3 weeks from now, or no, it's 40 degrees in my apartment. You got to be there today. So like last night, I left Vegas at 1 a.m. Tuesday morning. Got to Chicago at 6 something in the morning, got to work at 9 something in the morning in Bloomington, Illinois, and then immediately went to work. And last night at 7 o'clock at night, I was still in someone's apartment fixing their air conditioning because my guys were flooded with service calls and they needed help. So I was able to get trick-or-treating still done with my little girl, go back to a service call, and then still come home, and the wife wasn't mad at me. So I did something right yesterday, so, but that's the challenges, is that this business, I envy these businesses that they can turn their sign off closed at 5 o'clock and we'll see you again tomorrow. We don't have that luxury. And, so when you're talking with companies in our industry and they say, oh, I can't get you parts until, 3 weeks from now. I'm like, can you ask somebody to come in on Saturday? I need these pistons, so right. Lots of favors get asked. And you don't want to burn those out too much, because in the racing world, we definitely need someone on your side.
Yeah. We sort of have this conversation with a lot of different people on this show, because, people also run businesses, and it's like, well, they're on TV all weekend, and then, they show up for a service call, they show up at your door asking for business. Like what's sort of that like turn on, turn off sort of lifestyle for you? How did you get acquainted to that?
Oh, just kind of naturally, I just kind of fell into place. I'm a workaholic, so, I don't mind, doing, work at all hours and all times and at all places. I go to the racetrack and I'm sitting there and Matt Smith comes over. Hey, Gianna's air conditioners broke down. Will you look at it? Like, okay, yeah, okay, I'll come. I'll be right over, and then, I say, hey, I don't have time, but let me pick up the phone. I'll call somebody and I'll give them the heads up of, hey, what's going on? And I started bringing parts. I think at Pomona one year, Corey Reed's stuff was down, and we literally called somebody, put the parts in an Uber, and the Uber brought me the parts to fix the air conditioner at the track, and I thought
you're also the heating and cooling guy at the track too.
Yeah, I didn't really want to be. It just somehow it just started to happen, so, but it's a balance, primary, your primary business has to come first, but racing also has to be right there with it, and that's what really you need a strong network to make that happen, and I've had opportunities where I've had really good people that, help lead our company. And then occasionally, you lose those people. And that happened to me this year. I lost a guy that was acting as my general manager, and boy, that was hard. I'm literally walking out the door to go to Charlotte, and I get the 0-day notice, and you're like, oh, okay. I'm still going to Charlotte, and, luckily this is a family business. So my dad builds our engines. My dad also runs service calls. My dad's gonna be 70 years old next year. So he's my anchor. When I'm gone, he's here. And same with my wife, she's here, and my mother, So, it just gets to be, it's tough because you'd love to be able to say, hey, I'm going to go on vacation and go with my family, but we can never be really gone at the same time. Someone's got to cover for the other ones. So make sure somebody's here to take care of things. And, I think after like 10 years of racing, I think 1 year that everybody came to the the banquet at Pomona, and we looked at each other and was like, oh, I think in the last 10 years, that's the first time we've both been gone and together, ever, so very challenging, but, we knew this would be challenging. You sign up for class that starts with the word pro, get ready, I don't care who you are, it's going to be challenging.
Right. So what other businesses? You said multiple businesses. What are some of the other businesses?
So Tampa Bay Race Rentals was something that we launched back about 2020. It's a funny story. We were on vacation around New Year's, and the last couple years we had gone to like Enterprise or Hertz, and we got drag cars, or not drag. I'm sorry, we got rental cars. We got rental cars, and we would go to Bradenton. I took my father-in-law. My father-in-law raced in Europe Superbike. And he's like nine-time champion back in the 70s, and he'd never drag raced. So I said, I got a surprise for you. So I got a brand new Camaro, and I got a brand new Mustang. I called Bradenton, and they said, come on over. So we were sitting there. We made like 25 runs on these cars and just had a blast. So the next year, it's like, ooh, I can plan for this now. Like I'm going to plan a race. Like I'm going to invite a bunch of my friends, and we got brand new C8 Corvettes, and we're going to race these. Enterprise, you screwed me over on that reservation. It's like you must have known, because they tried giving me a minivan. And I said, I got 2 C8 vets rented. Well, they had 1 vet for 6 rentals. So that didn't work out. So then we called another company that had, exotic rentals. And it was a long deal, because, they really scrutinized the contract.
Right.
Of course, we're not doing burnouts. Of course, we're not going to do any of that stuff. No. So then we get the car. We end up getting 1 Dodge Hellcat. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And when I asked for the red key, that was when the next contract came out. And it's like, okay. So then we get the car. We're loading the helmets in the trunk. And they said, a text message comes up that we are monitoring this vehicle, and we know if you're doing like everything. Driving and entering on racetracks was one of them. I looked at it, I kind of laughed, and I said, they're bluffing. I said, there's no one in a room watching my dot drive up and down this track. I don't believe them. So I'm going anyway. So we went, and 6 of us shared this car, and we raced it, which also the whole time I'm thinking about this, you're going to give me a 700 horsepower car. You want me to drive around Florida on New Year's, and that's safe? You want me to try to get today's modern muscle car experience on a highway or a road with 700 horsepower? You step on the gas of that car at 40 miles an hour, it can get sideways and go across the median like that. So we're at the drag strip feeling very responsible. We're taking today's modern muscle cars down the track.
It's actually a shame. I'm a Floridian, so I sort of actually understand what the Runa Car Company was doing. Like it's the most Florida thing ever. But you see that constantly, where it's like people get supercars just to like drive around 30 miles per hour. You're like, oh my God, Lord, that's the most Miami, Florida thing ever.
Yep. So then we're like, we race the car, everything's great, and we take it back, and I say, oh man, that was great. You gotta be careful, that car can get away from you, and I said, we validated at Ocean Prime, and blah, 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 blah. It made me feel like a big shot. Meanwhile, I just laughed forever. And my friends, the guys that we took, they'd never raced. So really their reaction to what we were doing was like, that's when it sparked the idea. Is like, wow, you take today's brand new modern muscle cars, you give people the experience of drag racing in a controlled environment from someone who's been through, I've been through all the different drag racing schools and programs. And I said, let's do this. Let's launch a business. So this is January. I mean, it was New Year's Day almost. Gainesville, I had 2 brand new Mustang GT50s, fully wrapped, branded Tampa Bay Race Rentals, trailers, an agreement with the racetrack there in Clearwater, Florida, Showtime drag strip. And we were in business, and we were locked and loaded. And we were already, down doing 50th birthday parties, and we started doing corporate outings. And then it just kind of kept, it's continued to grow. It hasn't grown super rapidly because like any business, you need to be highly involved. So I find myself spread way too thin. I have some people that are helping me down in the Tampa, Florida area running the business. But we need, we're at that point right now where we partnered with El Bandido Yankee Tequila to utilize their network and to utilize their exposure. So together now we're going to be working on iHeartRadio. We're working at all the tailgate events for the Buccaneers. We're taking the cars to the liquor stores. We're taking the cars to the bars and restaurants and events to be on display. So now you're cross promoting two brands. That's what's going to start to make this really take off, because I mean, if it was my primary focus and I had a massive amount of investment capital, then bam, you could get right down and just start blanketing the area with major advertising campaigns. But we've been utilizing the advertising of a brochure at hotels, and that's really what's got us out there at the moment. And but the one thing that you do get out of that business is word of mouth like crazy, because as soon as you do it, you can't get the smile off your face for about 2 weeks because you've never drag raced. And so even people with fast cars, they're like, oh, well, I've got a Z06 or this. And then they get in our basically our Mustang GT with drag radials on it, and they've never went from a dead stop at a drag strip with traction and nailed all the gears down the track. And they come back and they're, everyone's like, wow, that was so awesome. And I agree. I mean, for me, I go 0 to 200 in 6 seconds. Our Mustangs go 0 to just under 8 seconds, and the eighth at, just over 100 mile an hour. I still, can get a little bit of a shake, and it's like, ooh, it's pretty cool. And so that we're really excited to be partnered with El Bandido with it, because I think now the amount of exposure we're going to gain is going to make this business just take off.
Yeah. Well, what other, you said multiple businesses, is that the main one, or are there some others that you want to talk about? You also don't have to talk about all of them, but
now I work for El Bandido Yankee Tequila. So, this is what I've learned about sponsorships in the last few years, is that the idea of getting big sponsors with little commitments is probably virtually gone. I mean, if you're going to get a big sponsor, you basically just signed yourself up for another full-time job, and as a brand ambassador, you become an active employee of the company. So we have turned this racing into a business, and whether you like it or not, it's here, and there's a lot more than just racing that has to happen. So now I'm selling tequila. So now I'm out there advocating our brand at venues, racetracks, restaurants, liquor stores. I mean, you name it. I had a chat with Eric, our CFO, the other day, and I said, hey, you can look at the sponsorship commitment that you've signed up for in 2023, and we can also just take my $30 an hour for a wage, and it's going to wash it. So you've gotten everything out of me that you could ever imagine in this deal, and the sponsorship paid for itself. And then of course we'll be pushing a large volume of tequila sales throughout this year too. So the ROI on what we've done is not terrible, and that's easy then to go into a business situation and go, look, 2024 is coming. Let's talk about this. This is what we've done, and now what are we going to do next year? So that you have, that's really nice, because if it's hard to put a value on certain things in marketing. So, but if you're putting a value on the marketing and you're getting sales behind it, man, you're really showing somebody that, you're a good investment. And we were very fortunate for that opportunity, and we just look to keep further advancing the program. So now we're taking El Bandido, and we're working to work with Drag Illustrated, and we're looking at events that we got coming up in the near future that we can partner with. And that's the kind of things that happen in business. The B2B begins to be a machine, and suddenly, you're seeing big opportunities that are landing, and it's really exciting. It's just a new thing for me to be a part of. It's a different kind of business. With that, I launched high performance marketing, and that really becomes my racing business that funnels all my expenses as well as all my income. And then you start to see, hey, the potential of the racing is there now, and what can you do to bite off a little bit bigger piece of the pie, and what can you do to make some more money, and really marketing is huge in our sport. So that's where it ends up. So other than the racing and everything I'm doing with El Bandido and AirTec, I started to back out of, I had small little real estate stuff going on. I started to back out of that, which I still have. So it's just, at a certain point, you just begin to drown, and you don't, and you get to a point too, you can't go backwards. You've climbed up a hill and you're up and your way up, and it's really hard to ever think that you want to go backwards. So you just need more help, more people, but it has to become, has to flatten out to where you're not constantly, if you call me today and say, hey, Ryan, I want to go into business in the ice cream business. No. I'm not going into business. I'm satisfied where I'm at.
Right. Well, can you tell us just a little bit more about the El Bandido, and you talked about how you pretty much went from, and I get that it's not completely from stickers to a different type of sponsorship, but you went from running a program on 35 stickers, which is what generally people in the old days thought, oh, well, sponsorship means a sticker, signage, to a partnership where you work for the company. It sounds like there's hospitality, sounds like there's dealer relationships and distribution and all those different things, and partnerships. Just expand a little bit more for the audience about how in depth of a program this is or becomes.
Sure. It's really got to a point where it's taught me what does all of those 33 people want from their sticker. And it may not be all of them. There's just some people that have businesses that want to get behind you because they believe in you and they want to be there for you. And the stickers there is just, representation of, hey, this guy is helping me. But yet then you start to understand the network and what it is that can come from that. So if you are in a business, we'll use David Williams from Fast Lane Classic Cars in St. Charles, Missouri. So that's a classic car business. So here we are in the racing world. We're traveling all over the country, and he has high-end exotic cars and classics. And you run into someone now like the owner of El Bandido who has a car collection, or Chip Lofton that has a car collection, and you say, hey, let me introduce you here. This is a good contact. He's got some really neat stuff. And some of those guys want to trade in their cars and buy new cars every couple of years, or they're building their collection. So you make the introduction, and then suddenly your friend who was just there to support you now suddenly, hey, I sold $500,000 worth of cars because of the relationship. That's huge. The same thing goes for all of these businesses that we work with. It's just hard to understand when you're young of what your responsibility is to them. Worldwide Bearings has been behind me. That's a high quality ceramic bearing company, and he's always been there with me for parts. And Dave has just been a great advocate for our sport. But at the same time, now at El Bandido, we're in with NASCAR, we're in with offshore boat racing, we're in with sprints. There are some other racers now that you can introduce into that market, and you could say, hey, Dave, have you met Rico, who is a famous sprint car racer? Suddenly now he may be able to sell a lot of bearing products within that network if we do something with him on a bearing package, and suddenly he's won several more races in a row. So a lot of these people already maybe have the benefit of that technology, but then maybe some don't. And now you've introduced a product to a group of people that expands their overall sales. So it's like that in basically every single business. It just depends. Some businesses are in certain areas of the country and operate within that area, state or county or city. Others are worldwide. So, El Bandido has taught me a lot about this, because now we have a product that we're launching nationally and probably, through the world. And, we get out there, and of course, not all of us drink, but I think a large volume of us all, consume alcohol occasionally. And now you see these, and it's definitely our fans. You know, you look at the race. The race is a vacation for our fans. You know, they go there for the experience, and they want to have fun. You know, fans don't go to the racetrack to have a bad time. So now we're seeing the ability to have a midway display, the investment that takes, and then if you get in with a track that now is, you know, having all of your product on concession. And, you know, you can buy our margaritas with El Bandido Yankee Tequila, you know, right around the corner. Now you can immediately see the instant return on investment. Immediately here, you know, here we are advertising and marketing, and now here we are, you know, bringing the product to the lips of the fans and seeing what they think. And then now you just move that out and around, and you go into music venues and anywhere where the same kind of high volume you know, consumption is out there. So it's definitely interesting to see what the potential is. And it just takes a lot of work, though. It's a lot of on the phone. It's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of sales. And of course, you need a really good network of people behind you to make that happen.
Yeah, it's I think everything that you just said is super important and very good advice. I know that you're in the process of living it, so I don't know if you realize how much advice it is or how helpful it is for people to hear that. But I think a lot of people don't know how complicated it is to have a multifaceted program like that and really provide value to a bunch of different people. I think another thing that you may be able to provide some value to our listeners is just what's Ryan Oehler's wisdom on just family business. Like what's your top two pieces of advice of just family business?
Boy, I mean, everyone, you hear a lot of people say the phrase, you know, it's hard to be in business with your family, you know, but we have a very interesting family, is that we're all not trying to get rich in business. You know, we're all not greedy. We're really concerned about the livelihood of everybody in our family, of course. But at the same token, I don't have one person in my family that's like over there trying to like dig a hole and chuck a bunch of money in and keep it from everybody. You know, we've really looked at, and it's hard because, you know, you sacrifice a lot to be out here in racing. So you have a family business and you want to go racing, and you're going to be taking, you know, a lot of your time, a lot of your capital to focus it over here into this area. And, you know, the term comes up all the time. Oh, that's one expensive hobby. And then you look at someone and go, you know, if I just sold fuzzy dice that hung from someone's rearview mirror to every single car in the parking lot, I would walk away here very rich this afternoon. So then they're just closed-minded in the fact that they don't understand how many people are coming through the gates, and every day on a daily basis, how much we all consume and what we're going to consume over the next week or year. And then, you know, what products then fall into line with that. But, you know, for me, my family business is that everyone is supportive of what we're doing. And I think time is the worst thing that you're giving up, because you really can never replace time, you know. And so if you're trying to advance your program and, you know, make more horsepower, money helps because you can hire subcontractors to help you with issues and problems. But no matter what, you know, I've got to be gone those 20 some weekends out of the year. And there's got to be people here to back me up. So my employees don't want to see me leave. They want to see me here because things run smoother when I'm here. But everyone steps up, and eventually, you know, we'll find some more, you know, high quality employees to kind of take the management side of this as I continue to grow into some of these other parts of our businesses. But again, you got to protect what's paying the bills, and got to protect everybody's livelihood. So, you know, you got to put that focus, you know, it has to be there. You know, you cannot let what's taking care of you and, you know, and your family slip through, you know, any cracks. You got to be on top of it. So I'm very fortunate that everyone's always been supportive of what we're doing, but that is a challenge, you know, because you come home and you look around and like everyone's like, you know, like my dad said today, I'm leaving for a few days. I'm going, I want to go on vacation. I haven't been on vacation all year long, and he's like, we're talking 3 days. We just want to give up 3 days to go sit in the sun, maybe in Florida. So that's the biggest thing, is that we all get to the end of the season and you are just out of gas because, NHRA is grueling, and they say, oh, we're going to run 4 races in a row, 4 weekends back to back to back. You're like, no, like COVID hit in 2020, and NHRA is a business. They've got to make money. So, we all work together to make that happen. We're part of that business. But when COVID hit, they said at one point, they announced a schedule that they're going to run 8 weekends in a row. And I was like,
hard enough to do that under normal circumstances. We're going to do that during a pandemic.
Yeah, I was like, I don't see that really happening. And, but yet they were trying to figure out a way for the bottom line. I mean, they can't go out of business either. Their business is a show. It's an entertainment event. They have to travel and it has to happen. But, the racers that support the sanctioning body are the heart and soul of what's really happening out there. If the racers don't go, there is no show. So you have to all work together. And we do this every year with the NHRA as far as where are we going? What's the schedule like? This was the first year the bikes ever did the true Western swing. And that's grueling, Now, if you can get in your rig and go and leave Monday morning and drive and go take your time to get from Denver to Seattle, more power to you. I had to fly home red eyes every single time. So Monday morning, here I am at work, and then I'm leaving again on Thursday to go do it all again the next week. And it's like, man, that's just rough on everybody. So, luckily my family has continued to support me and support what we're doing. And they would love to see a couple more Wallies on the shelf, because that's really the only thing you get to really show for it, other than a lot of really good stories, now we can see that because of it as well, we have produced a business that has a lot of potential. And then, where will we head from here? Where will we continue to go? And that's the real question is, I think Angel really shows and proves that, hey, and Antron and all these people who continue to build their businesses up. We start here, we work our way to here. And that's kind of the moment that I'm at. My dad is the key to my business and my racing business, because he provides the engines. And yet I'm fully capable of taking my motorcycle 100% apart and putting it all the way back together and tuning it and all this. But I've got drivers, I've got crew members, I've got tuners. But the key is my dad is the one providing the horsepower and doing the engine development program to further our program, and he's going to be 70 years old. Will we continue to do this same thing? We're going to continue to do it for a while, but at a certain point, maybe I'll look at something like getting into a fuel car program where suddenly I can work the side of the business and ask a team to help provide the power to put it, behind the wheel, so that I can, continue to operate and run all of our other businesses, as well as then have a team back me up on everything else that you need to make it out there. And so that gets to be pretty crazy to think about, but that is, if you're going to stay in it, that's the focus that has to happen.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for sharing that. We round every show out with 12 questions called Put Up Your Dukes. They're 1 minute each answer.
Okay.
So are you ready to put up your dukes? There they go. Let's go. All right. So for most of these questions, it's either for you, your race, or the industry, right? So what is the strength?
What was the strength? I have to put that in a sentence for me. Give me a little bit better thing to work with here.
No, we'll go with this. It's the round to put up your dukes. 12 questions, and the answers could be the strength of Ryan Oehler, strength of El Bandido Yankee Racing, strength of NHRA as a league, strength of Pro Stock Motorcycle. You get to choose for all of these questions. You get to choose how you answer it. So just the basic question
Sure.
is just what's the strength?
Oh, it's definitely going to be perseverance. Your strength to overcome the hurdles and the obstacles of racing and traveling and everything. I mean, it is. You buy a brand new whole motor and you're so happy it's going to be the fastest in the world, and it is blowed up in 0.1 seconds. So the strength and ability to just push right through that and say, okay, that didn't work, on to the next. So that's definitely the way I see that.
Gotcha. Biggest weakness?
Oh, I guess it'd be the bank account. If your bank account's empty, it's really hard to make it to the next race. My dad used to say that they had to win the race just to make sure they made it home. So if he didn't win, then he was calling grandpa and having Western Union sent over to wherever city they were in so we could get home.
Yeah. Biggest opportunity?
Opportunities are definitely going to be anything that we have discussed earlier, as in great business opportunities and networking, and the people that are out there in this sport that see what we're doing and what we're trying to do, that want to get behind you and then turn it into gold for them.
Biggest threat?
Competition. You've got massive amount of people all trying to do the same thing, and they are sinking their teeth into new programs and new sponsors, and they want what you have. So when they see a big tequila brand on the side of your rig rolling in the property, they know that there's an opportunity with maybe in that market, whether it's directly with you, and you get this a lot. You'll get a lot of other competitors out there making phone calls into your sponsors and saying, hey, maybe I can do something that he can't. And so that's definitely something you got to keep your eyes on in regards to a threat.
Most overrated part of being Ryan Oehler?
Oh, it must be so great to travel and go to all these great places and see all these things. It's like I see my pit, the starting line, the return road. Oh, look at that beautiful mountain out in the out there. Oh, that's wonderful. And back home again to go do it all over. So yeah, the travel is just ridiculously grueling.
Most underrated?
The ability to get that time slip and see, wow, I just picked up 1/100th of a second, and what the gratification of what that really feels like is what I'm really always been here for. You want to get to the end of the track and the guy's walking over real slow at the time slip, and you're like, you get it, and you're like, crap, yeah, it felt a lot faster than that, or great, I just picked up. So that would definitely be my thoughts there.
Gotcha. Biggest mental hurdle?
Mental hurdle. That's a whole new thing I've never had to go through until the last few years. I've never was a person to turn on the red light, and I get up there and I've turned on the red light more times this season than I think all of my seasons combined. Maybe 4 or 5 red lights earlier this year. So dealing with the stress of being unsure and not confident in my machine, and the stresses of the team and stresses at home and at work, and all of a sudden you're on the bike and you're not thinking just about racing, and then bam, turn on a red light or do a double clutch and you just let your whole team down. So that's something that you have to be very confident, and you got to block everything else out and be totally focused on what you're about to do.
Last word that you want to say for the older folks, the people like your dad and stuff like that came before you. What's the last thing that you have to say for those guys?
It's amazing what everyone has done. I wish I had a time machine and go back into the era. I think things were simpler back then. Granted, it was still very difficult and hard, but now with all the social media, and everybody is scrutinized at every little thing that they do these days. It always looks like this, to I think someone, of younger, man, must have been cool to be back in the 60s or 70s. Then someone goes, oh, what about Vietnam? And you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that, and so it always looks good in the history books maybe, but what they've done, the paths that they've paid for us, these people, the track owners and sanctioning, anybody who works for the sanctioning bodies, it continues to keep us racing and keep us out on the racetracks. We're so fortunate for everything that they've done, and we're happy to be here, and hope to carry the torch on for many years to come.
How about the last word for the younger generation, the folks younger than us?
Yeah, they need to get out there and get to work. This is every business owner that you will talk to is going to say, wow, I'm having trouble, getting employees. And nobody really seems to want to work that hard these days. And, if you want something, you got to go work for it. I tell the kids that come, the schools that bring the kids to the racetracks on Fridays is awesome. They come out and they say, man, what do I got to do to be here? I say, well, first of all, any business that's out there is hiring, and any of them. You go to them, and then they're going to say, hey, what do I got to do to be better? I say, go up to your boss at 4:45, ask him, what else do you need me to do? I'm here for you. I'll work till 6. Do you need me to sweep the floors? Just be there for them. They may not need you that day, but they may need you the next. And the more that you can show that you're here and you're not just there for yourself and that you're there for the business, because treat any job like that it's a team. You need to be there for your team. You will go so much further than the person who wants to leave home and go home early every single day and call in sick when you're not sick. Be there for your team, and that's going to make a huge difference in your life.
How about for your peers?
Peers, they all just need to slow down. We've got some of the peers out there that are just passing us up, but we all work together really well, and our peers that we're racing with, and I don't know what it's like in the car group, but the motorcycle group, we are a family, and it's tough if you've got 16 to 20 brothers and sisters, because that's what the Pro Stock bike has. Sometimes you might want to slap some of them right in the face, but you all still love each other, and we're all there for each other. We all just got to stick together.
Gotcha. Final question. How do we help?
We got to help by getting, racing out there, the message of how awesome and amazing it is to see, whether it's today's modern muscle cars, top fuel cars, jet cars, dirt bikes, scooters. I mean, the racing world is huge. And as you see what's out there, I run into a group of people in the Florida area. They race nitro scooters and, but they've never seen anything with NHRA. So keep your mind open to the racing world, expose yourself and expose your peers, expose today's youth to what's out there, and get people involved in things that are very self-gratification that comes from racing. And I think that that's going to do everybody a lot of good to see why it is that we really put ourselves through this, and really what can be achieved by it.
Bonus question. How do we help you?
Well, we need to get El Bandido into every venue. We get them in baseball, basketball, music events, concerts, bars, restaurants, liquor stores. We can do a lot with that. If we can get my sponsors and our products out there into the hands of the consumers, everybody who's behind me has amazing products. I don't have anything that is not super high quality. So if you're a fan of tequila, I strongly suggest you try some El Bandido Yankee Tequila, and you will be amazed, because so I get this. I'm sorry, I'm going to go over a minute on this question, but there's 2,500 tequilas out there, and there's only 90 that are additive free. So we are 100% additive free, and we're all natural Blue Weber agave. So you find out that there's all kinds of stuff, bad stuff that people put in their drinks because it helps their bottom line and gives them the taste that they may be thinking that they want. But health, this is, if you're going to drink, this is the healthiest way to do it, because it doesn't have all the chemicals and stuff in it that makes, your body have to go through and process it. So it's pretty awesome. Get out there and give yourself a try. We're sweeping the country. You can do it online. You can go to our elbandidoyankee.com and go ahead and get, order your bottle direct to your house.
All right. Well, sounds good. I know a place where El Bandido Yankee tequila's going. My mouth. Ryan Oehler, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for sharing your life story, your business story, and all the advice that you have. I think it's going to help propel all the things that we're working on, and some of the things that people are watch the show to get. So thank you very much, and also best of luck for the Slash race and also the off season. Want to thank you guys also for being a viewer of the show, for tuning in every week. Remember, we're brought to you here every week by Drag Illustrated, and do all the things that Drag Illustrated does. Also, Racers Club. If you haven't gone on, go on Racers Club. Get your super cool stuff. It's so good. The hats. There's probably going to be some new drops here pretty soon, so don't leak that I said that, but probably going to do that. And once again, thank you to our executive producer, JT Murder Tundra Hudson, and we'll see you back here next week on Drag Illustrated's The Racing Business.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you for having me.